What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. I hope everyone had a good weekend. If you had to take a COVID test, a flu test, or a test for some other virus, I hope you have tested negative. If you did test positive for COVID, flu, or any of the viruses, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long-term issues and no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Monday edition of the Virus Update for Monday, April 7th, 2025. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do the daily virus update on all those viruses that can make us sick. Let's face it, there's a lot of viruses out there, and you need to know what's going on with each and every one of them. That's what I do here on my channel every day. I give you the latest news, data, and anything I can find to help keep you safe and informed of what's going on. Want to stay informed? Just subscribe down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know, and leave your comments down below. Alrighty, we do have some news stories to take a look at today. We're going to take a look at some daily data, some Walgreens data, and maybe a few wastewater sites as well. Not a terribly busy day, but we'll probably still get close to about a 20-minute video. Starting off with the BNO News Weekly U.S. COVID Update. And with that, it says new cases this week for the United States. 113,171 estimated cases. Remember, that does not include these at-home tests, does not include people that didn't bother to test. Wastewater may suggest that the daily average number of cases may be much higher than this. Hospital admissions, 7,922. That actually went up by 4%. Number of people in the hospital, 7,375. That's down by 4%. In the ICU, 1,103. That's down by 1%. New deaths, 740. And the average is 768. That's up by just almost a half of a percent. So, yeah, deaths, they're still a thing with COVID. If this is the first time you clicked onto one of my videos, we've been doing them for several years now. COVID deaths are still happening. The COVID pandemic did not end. COVID is still a thing. That's the key takeaway. COVID is still a thing. People are still getting sick with COVID. And you know what? Flu is still a thing as well. We may be in April now. It may be spring, but there's still a few flu deaths out there occurring. Fifth pediatric flu-related death has been reported in Virginia. Yep, we've been seeing several pediatric flu deaths this season. I don't know if it was something that I tracked back in the 2023-2024 season, but it's something we've been keeping our eyes on here on the channel in the videos for the 2024-2025 season, and there have been several videos where I have talked about pediatric flu deaths this year. Yeah, it's not necessarily a good thing. Alright, moving over to Montana. You might have seen there, NBC Montana. Montana's seasonal flu death count rises to 60. Weekly case numbers decline. So the cases are still declining in Montana. That's some good news, but they're still recording a few flu deaths. Two more deaths from influenza were reported by the Montana Department of Public Health and Humane Services back on Friday, bringing this season's total number of influenza deaths to 60, the highest tally since 2018-2019 season. And let's go back, which they do here. The number of deaths in Montana for the past 7 seasons, as reported by the state's health department, are 2018, 2019, 29, 2019, 2020, 22. Look at that. 2020 into 2021, 0 flu deaths. You know what was happening back then? We were wearing these guys right here. Masks. Masks were working. And right about now, someone's getting ready to type, well, you know what? They just weren't counting flu deaths. If it was flu, they were putting down as COVID. Come on. Stop it. They weren't. COVID death was a COVID death at the time. If anything, we may have missed some COVID deaths from people who weren't tested or whatever the case may be. In 2021, 2022, there were 10 flu deaths. 2022, 2023, 21. 2023, 2024, 44. 2024, 2025, 60. And you know, we're not done yet. They may add a few more. Get the idea here? There's a trend. It's not just happening there. It's happening in a lot of places. And unfortunately, I think unless someone steps in and does something, the number next year could very well be higher, meaning 2024 2025 into 2026 season. There's already indications that over in Australia and New Zealand, flu's bad. Well, that's a bad outlook as to what could potentially happen here come fall. It's just something to keep an eye on. All right, over in India, bird flu in India is a problem as well. Tigers, leopards, and even pet cats are being infected by H5N1 virus at this time. So it's not just the United States that's dealing with these problems. Countries all over the world are reporting here and there various different animals having issues with H5N1, which is really a bad thing. All right, here's something else that's bad. Imagine getting sick, right? And imagine you're a performer and you get sick, right? And then you don't really recover, but then you get sick with something else at the same time, and you don't fully recover and you decide to do a show. It happened. Not the first time it's happened. We've seen this many times. This won't be the last time this happens. Brooks and Dunn star cuts performance short amid ongoing illness. Yeah, get this. Ronnie Dunn unexpectedly left the stage during a recent performance. The unusual exit takes place as the country star continues to battle an ongoing illness. Now wait for it. They say the words illness, but guess what? We actually learn more this time. It's one of the rare cases where we learn more information. So let's read on. The Brooks and Dunn star, half of the iconic duo with Kix Brooks, walked off stage as the duo delivered an encore rendition of their early 90s anthem, Boot Scootin' Boogie. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this particular group, but let's read on. Videos circulating on social media captured the moment Dunn, who said during another performance last month, he was battling strep throat and COVID. Stop singing, he told the crowd. Sing it if you know it. As he stepped away from the microphone, he appeared to signal to his guitar player that he could no longer perform. Dunn stepped closer to the edge of the stage, patted his chest, and waved a farewell to the audience. So, yeah, this took place on April 3rd. This was in Indianapolis, Indiana. So, yeah, this is really interesting. But it does not stop there. Get this. So, we just heard about strep. We heard about COVID. Dunn, 71, in a caption on Instagram on March 19th, that he had to fight through the last two shows. The flu and strep aren't a singer's friend. So, first he's saying he has had COVID and strep, and then it's flu and strep. Did he had COVID, flu, and strep, or is he just calling the flu COVID at that point? The point is, it does make a mention of COVID. This is another one that will be getting added to my archive. I've been starting to work on the archive. We'll show you that in just a little bit. Invasive strep infections have more than doubled in the U.S. CDC study finds. The invasive form of strep can lead to flesh-eating disease or organ failure. Almost 2,000 people died from 2013 to 2022. Wow, that's not a good number whatsoever. All right, moving on to this. Just want to put something, or show you something that Jammer posted on X. He posts fantastic stuff. A recent study shows 52% of Brits say their memory has become worse over the course of the past 2 years. 61% lose their train of thought up to 10 times a day. That just sounds absolutely horrible. It just sounds like a good reason to avoid being infected by COVID. Yikes. That is absolutely, yeah, that's just not good whatsoever. All right, taking a look at this. This is the U.S. sports illness thread over on my site. And I want to draw your attention to the fact that, number one, there's been a lot of MLB players starting to get sick, but we've had oh so many basketball players sick this season. I mean, this thread is well over 100 entries and posts so far, and it is only going to continue to grow. So I've been starting to do a little research on basketball, and I'm starting to find out some of these basketball players have had COVID. Now, we cannot confirm whether or not this has gone on to long COVID. I know there's some basketball players out there that have admitted to having long COVID, haven't gotten to documenting them yet, will eventually. It's a slow process, it's a long process, because there's oh so many people I'm finding that have had COVID. But we're finding out a player who played on Dallas Mavericks, he ended up having COVID, and then along the way I'm starting to find other things. Like just the other day I found in 2022, George Clooney ended up having COVID. And why did I find out? Well, apparently he's doing something Broadway related in New York City, and there were a bunch of people out there holding up signs, "Mass for George Clooney." And I'm going, has he ever had COVID? Sure enough, in 2022, while he was directing a movie, he was 62 years old at the time, he did have a case of COVID. Couldn't find the exact date. That's why for that one you see just 2022. And then you do see here Donovan Mitchell, who is a basketball player, added that over the weekend. And also Rudy Gobert also had a case of COVID as well. And Lonzo Ball, I hope I'm saying that correctly, also had a case of COVID. There's been a lot of players who've had a case of COVID. I'm back to working on that once again. I'm going to try and add a little bit each day that I have time to do so. All right, let's take a look at bird migration. We talked about bird flu a little bit earlier, and let's see what's going on with bird migration in the U.S. There's pretty unsettled weather in the east, so if we don't see much migration, wouldn't surprise me today, although some migration in Florida, some in the Great Lakes. Yeah, migration. It's definitely happening. With any migration, there could be the potential for spread of bird flu. Taking a look at what's going on today with the air quality levels, you'll see there's a few areas bad, but really it's not all that bad, with exceptions to Dallas, Texas, up through Oklahoma, even in the portions of Kansas. Some problems there. Few problems in California. Also some problems up in Montana, Idaho, and Washington as well. And just a few problems in the east today, although I'm not terribly concerned about that. There is a lot of moisture out there. Sometimes that triggers these sensors to show things being worse than they really are. Taking a look at what is going on in Pinellas County, Florida, and we do see there are a few calls right now. And check this out. Philadelphia on Saturday had 810 EMS calls. On Sunday, just 682. Yes, that is below 700 calls. That is a really good thing, my friends. Taking a look at what's going on in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and right now there are just 12 calls. Respiratory emergency does show up a couple times, and a few other things. In Chester County, Pennsylvania, we do see stroke is showing up, respiratory difficulty a couple times, and a few other things at this time. Taking a look at the hospital situation in Pennsylvania, and yeah, there's a few more hospitals than yesterday dealing with some problems, a few in South Central Pennsylvania, a few in Northeast Pennsylvania, and Southeast Pennsylvania is not doing bad at all today. All green, except for these ones that are red. Those are hospitals that no longer have emergency departments for whatever reason. In New Jersey today, we do see Centra State Medical Center, critical care. There is a problem going on there. Inspira Medical Center, Mannington Specialty. Yeah, there's a few hospitals dealing with problems today in New Jersey. We're not seeing any that say full, total divert. That's some good news. Taking a look at what's going on in New York State. And New York State, on the most recent update, 1,389 new cases added. And when we take a look at what's going on with the hospitalization picture in New York State, and we do see that number is dropping at this time. 763 people in hospital and 76 in the ICU. Hopefully they start this week lower. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But they ended last week lower than the previous day. All right, taking a look at what's going on with Walgreens' COVID positivity rate this week. It actually did go up a little bit. The national positivity trend from Walgreens is 16.3% for COVID. Prior week was 14.8%. It's up by 1.4%. Total test, 2,910 versus 3,755. Yeah, much less testing, but I will tell you this, there are some states mixed in here that are not doing too well. New York State is one of them. 25% COVID positivity rate. That's up by 2.9% from 22.1%, with testing being up 196 tests versus 181. And take a look at this. Maryland, yeah, positivity rate jumped. It increased by 9.9% to 12.8%. It was just 2.9% last week. And testing's up 47 versus 35. I'm seeing red in Rhode Island. And Rhode Island didn't. It was 0 last week for Rhode Island. So, don't know why that jumped so much. But, yeah, that's a big increase there. Obviously, it's probably because there was nothing last week. North Carolina, 20.3% positivity rate. That's up by 5.1%, but your testing's down. 158 versus 231. Florida reports 12.9% positivity rate. That's up by 4.6%. Testing's down. 387 versus 455. Arizona positivity rate is 12%. That's up by 3.6%. With testing up, that's not good. New Mexico, also not good. 14.3% positivity rate, up by 9.3%. And 21 tests versus 20. One test more. You just don't do enough testing there. That's part of your problem. Idaho, 9 tests versus 7, but again, 22% positivity, 22.2% this week. Doesn't look like anything was reported last week. Illinois, 18.4% this week, 13.1% last week. That is up by 5.3%. And Michigan will end on a green note. 12% positivity rate this week. The prior week was 13.3% total test. 50 versus 98. Now let's quickly take a look at the flu. And this is a bit faster because we don't compare week to week. The flu positivity rate is 2.71%. Total test, 2,992. And I am seeing some dark blue states here. Pennsylvania, for whatever reason, 10% flu positivity rate. And I need to zoom this in. What is going on here? Because this is relatively concerning. Wow, the flu positivity rate in Pennsylvania has really started to go up. I want to hope that is not flu A going up again, and that it would be flu B. Influenza A in Pennsylvania wastewater, and I could actually go to that right now. Let's go to that real quickly. Influenza A in Pennsylvania wastewater. Here it is, and you can actually see here on the most recent update, there's a little bit of an increase. Now, we'll get a new update on this again tomorrow, but that is something to keep an eye on. Pennsylvania wastewater was going up, and now apparently Walgreens. Wow, look at that. The positivity rate, yeah, it's really shot up in Pennsylvania. We're also seeing, looks like Connecticut. Yeah, 10% positivity right there, 15 total tests. Kentucky, 5.77%. Virginia is 4.86%. California, 1.99%. How about Washington? 1.72%. Arizona, 4.22%. New Mexico, 4.76%. Kansas, 5%. Oklahoma, 1.25%. How about Florida? Is that going back up? 3.10%, just an ever so slight increase there once again. Minnesota at this time is seeing the positivity rate at, there we go, 4.17%. And how about we come down here to Arkansas? Arkansas is 5.26% at this time. All right, let's take a look at wastewater scan. Let's take a look at a few places on the West Coast, shall we? First off, let's take a look at wastewater. Remember, this is wastewater detecting what the levels of viruses are. Yes, when you use the restroom, it goes to a treatment facility, and they can actually collect samples and check what's going on with the wastewater. And we do see in San Francisco, this is, I believe, the more eastern wastewater site. Yeah, it is. A little bit of an increase for COVID at this time. Still low. RSV is listed at high, and that's been going up once again. Big concern there. Influenza A is medium. Influenza B is in the high category. HMPV, still high. EVD 6A is low, but rising. Medium for norovirus. Hepatitis A, some detections of that at this time. Now, mind you, the West as a whole, for COVID, it is going up. And there are oh so many wastewater sites in California. In fact, I gotta be honest with you, there's quite a few here. There's some that we never even look at, or at least not on video. And we probably should look at more of these. What's going on in Sacramento? Let's check there. Sacramento at this time. Median for COVID, they had a little bit of a bump at the end of March to start April. And they're still trying to recover from that bump. So median for COVID, high for RSV, median for influenza A. Influenza B is high at this time. And HMPV still listed at high. And overall, that's been rising. So it's something we have to watch. EVD 6A is still high. Some detections of hepatitis A. And yes, back on March 18th, clade 1B strain of Mpox was detected. All right, let's make our way further to the east. And I do want to look at Pennsylvania once again, simply because of that flu issue that we see going on. And Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is the capital of Pennsylvania. A little bit of an increase for COVID at this time. And I should have mentioned this earlier when we were talking about Pennsylvania. We actually just had a holiday weekend in Pennsylvania. You're probably thinking, wait, what? What holiday? Why did Pennsylvania have a holiday of its own? Well, let me explain. We had what's called opening day of trout season in Pennsylvania. That's actually a big deal. You go to your local water or lake, you go to your local stream, I'm telling you, opening day of trout, it is elbow to elbow. I used to participate in that years ago. Places that are hunting camps, a lot of those people get together. for fishing season. It's not as big as opening day of hunting season, but it's a pretty big deal. Who knows? That could have been the cause to spread some of the viruses. People being close together, sleeping in their, their hunting camps or whatever. Hey, it's a possibility. And in the early days of the pandemic, I'm not talking about 2020, but 2021, we did actually see an increase in COVID directly following the opening day of trout season in Pennsylvania. RSV is low, influenza A is high and dropping. Take a look at this. Influenza B, the overall trajectory has been higher, but you can see here, as of recently, looks like maybe it's leveled off some. HMPV still set high. EVD68 is low. Norovirus is still high at this time. Hepatitis A is low. Mpox, Clade 2 and Clade 1B not detected at this time. And finally, let's quickly go somewhere down south. Let's see what's going on in Tallahassee, Florida, if we can. Is this one of those? Okay, I was about to say, is this one of those wastewater sites that sometimes has issues? No, it doesn't. Medium for COVID. RSV is high. Influenza A is medium. Influenza B is high. HMPV is low, but rising a little bit. EVD68 is low. Norovirus is high. And yeah, take a look at this. Hepatitis A, some detections of that at this time. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Monday edition of the Virus Update. We'll have another virus update again tomorrow. We'll have new data from New York State. We'll have new data from Pennsylvania. We'll have whatever news there is of the day, and probably some more wastewater sites. I will see you again tomorrow. Until I see you again tomorrow, remember to keep yourself hydrated. We forgot to do that. There you go. Keep yourself hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Anyhow, subscribe down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know. And of course, leave your comments down below. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic Monday afternoon. Thanks for watching.